This entire review contains big spoilers for all 3 Xenoblade games. If you haven't finished the 3 games, including Future Connected, turn back now or Juju will crash at you in high speed with his buggy. If you don't care for the Xenoblade games, then I don't know why you're watching this. Also, that makes you a xenophobe and you might go to Monado jail. The end of the trilogy is here. Future Redeemed is the last DLC to Xenoblade Chronicles 3, this fantastic console RPG created by Monolith Soft, the studio's best known for masterpieces such as Disaster, Day of Crisis, and Dragon Ball Z: Attack of the Saiyans. You take control of Faithful One with thick accent and not Alvis, who come from the only city known in Ionios, creatively named The City. On their quest to find his sister, they end up getting involved in a conflict between 2 colonies. Matthew casually kills 2 consuls and awakens the Ouroboros power in 2 innocent creatures, known as Microshook and Sarcastic Pneuma. Now that he has completely fucked their chances of going back to their colonies, the 4 must join forces with Van Serviceman and Chadosaurus Rex to survive, and help out the group known as Liberators, living in the town of Hey, remember the first game? As they soon realize their search for the thickest cat girl in the Xenoblade series is directly future connected with a mysterious threat known as Alvis, who wants to erase everything that wasn't born in the world of Ionios. As you progress in the story, more is revealed about the events that led to Matthew's search for his sister, Nael, including the assassination of his granddad by the Consul N. More like Consul S, am I right? Get it? Because S stands for Sim. Anyway, the city gets destroyed and Matthew sees his sister disappear after acting very strange. Of course, since we all played Xenoblade 3, we know this was only one version of the city that got destroyed. Since Future Redeemed takes place long before the main game, we know they will rebuild somewhere else and will be better equipped by that point. I'm not gonna spoil who this female version of Alvis is and why she's traveling with Matthew, since that's revealed further down the line, or why the figure of Alvis we know from the first Xenoblade is now an antagonist. But Shulk and Rex lead the Liberators from what is left of Colony 9, which is fine to spoil because the Colony and the Liberators are intrinsically connected to some of the exclusive features of Future Redeemed. If you thought the main game has too many cutscenes, grab a bucket of popcorn or something to drink, because Future Redeemed's first half suffers from what I like to call the Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker syndrome, which is several sections of the critical path in which you have 2 or more cutscene triggers within like 10 steps from each other in the map. The expansion story is a lot shorter, just like Torna was compared to Xenoblade 2's main game, but it did feel very dense in cutscenes. I get it that they wanted to tie some of the loose ends since this does end the whole Klaus Experiment trilogy, but I think they could have spaced the cutscenes a little better, especially in the first half, because in contrast the second half has them way more spaced out. They could have balanced a little more. But what about the ending? Does it have any chance to make all the people disappointed by the ending of the main game happier? In my opinion, yes, totally. The Annihilation events are explained, the Fog Beasts are explained, even if basically one single line of dialogue, and even if Future Redeemed takes place before Noah's story, you get to see more about both the before the Klaus Experiment and a little more after Origin successfully reboots the 2 worlds. For those worried that a prequel story will not change your feelings of the whole picture, well, you can rest easy because Monolith Soft really tried to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. Though there were 2 moments where this felt a little ham-fisted through brief dialogue lines that really just looked like they wanted to reassure the players they knew what they were worried about from complaints about the main game's story, and inserted the lead right into the characters for an instant. Take this with a pinch of salt though, I was pretty satisfied with the ending of the main game personally, though I do think Future Redeemed itself is a lot more satisfying than the final chapter of the main game. And unlike Xenoblade 2's Torn of the Golden Country, I did end up feeling like nothing of value was added to what I knew from the base game.
Nothing's gonna get through to him! He's a heartless machine! We have to try!
Fascinating. Is this how badly you wish to erase us? My god.
The class system is gone, with each of the 6 playable characters having a very clear, strict role. You can customize their builds with accessories, gems, fusion art combinations, and the exclusive Union combo mechanic, which lets you form 3 pairs of characters and get different benefits and Union attacks from it. But at the end of the day, Shulk will always be a tank, A will always be a healer, and Matthew will always be an attacker. So let's go through how each character fights briefly. The first attacker, Matthew, fights with his fists and excels at being a utility DPS with skills that emphasize auto-attacking and chaining relatively low cooldown arts for progressively stronger art cancel damage. The first healer, A, fights with a sword and probably the most fun healer to play in all of the Xenoblade 3. She's the only healer of the group with a healing field. You put it down with a combination of agility boosts for the party and then just focus on dishing out damage. The first tank, Nicole, is a block tank with good aggro generation and damage reflection, and for some reason he has a lot more HP and defense than Shulk. Either Shulk's new muscles are worthless, or Nicole is one shredded kid under that shirt. Glimmer is the second healer, who isn't that great at dishing damage compared to A, but she provides more buffs to the party. She's definitely less of a frontline healer. Rex is pretty much the same as used to be in 2, but they upped it to 11 and now he's a freaking monster that gets so broken with his ridiculous critical hit rate, high chain attack power, and double spinning edge span that neither tank can keep up with his aggro. He's a real glass loose cannon. Get used to seeing him die a lot though. And finally, the second tank is your boy Shulk. His uniqueness is that he sucks. Moving on. Those roles and effects of the arts may be familiar coming from the main game, but once you get hands-on with the characters, you will be surprised by how different they feel to the existing classes. Even without the class system, there is a new character progression in form of the affinity growth. It's a selection of attributes, art enhancements, and yeah, it's a skill tree. It's a skill tree and I'm sure you know how this works. And you unlock more trees, up to 3 per character, using key items you get exploring the world. We also need accessory unlock, gen unlock, and art unlock items that let you pick locked slots to open up for a character of your choice. There are enough of those items hidden in containers and relic chests scattered around the map for you to unlock everyone's slots. Exploration is absolutely encouraged in Future Redeemed. As always, the path the main story wants you to take is very obvious, but the map this expansion takes place in is basically one single massive connected world full of optional treasures, monsters, collectopedia items, and vistas to find if you're a bit of a completionist. Maybe encouraged isn't the right word so much as enforced though, because the affinity growth nodes require affinity points to be unlocked. You get affinity points every time you do anything that counts towards area completion. Things like killing a small amount of monster species, killing a unique monster, completing an entry in the collectopedia, finding a landmark or new location on the map, extracting ether, rescuing a city survivor, finding a container, or finding a relic. You can also spend materials to repair ladders and ether slides to access new areas, or ether mass to help you locate any point or target of interest that you didn't run into yet. This too rewards you with affinity points, and more affinity points means more affinity growth progress, which makes characters significantly better in combat. Unlocking the nodes is way more important than just leveling up, which is why I say exploration is enforced, not just encouraged. You can track all this stuff with the Affinity Goals menu, which includes the Collectopedia, Exploration, Bestiary, and everything else. The point to take here is if you're the type of person who thinks spending time doing things outside the main story is tedious, gonna be frank, Future Redeemed is not for you. Sure, you can always find a way to be overleveled and brute force your way through the story bosses with the easy difficulty enabled. But if you ask me, needing to go that far is just gonna provide you with a hollow gameplay experience. And if you don't care for the gameplay, as I always say, you should just go watch a no commentary playthrough on YouTube for the story.
Let's not linger on it.
Don't let the enemy take the upper hand.
Ready or fall! It's me you want! I appreciate that.
Double spinning it!
That's right, eyes on me!
Nicole, attaboy!
It might sound like there's still a lot of character micromanagement going despite how much was streamlined, but let me break it down for you. The affinity growth of every character can be completed 100% if you complete all map objectives. I personally didn't kill more than one super boss and there was only one character with a few nodes left to unlock. There is an unlockable in the game that lets you reset the affinity growth, but I found it completely unnecessary. You don't need to worry about managing arts a whole lot because every character has exactly 6. Upgrading weapons, which is something I'll go back to in a moment, is a linear process and the materials are so abundant you don't need to worry about making a choice. That leaves only union combos, art fusions, accessories and manuals as the real micromanagement. And of those, only accessories and manuals have that many options. Either way, this level of micromanagement is only important when facing super bosses, or if you're underleveled in the starting encounter.
All my power. Unleash. It's okay. Ready? I got another on me. What about something like this?
Gotta go with your gut, eh? Come on, you know you wanna. Now we're cooked.
Good way to start a party.
Oh, someone's gotten miffed, eh?
I want to know.
Alright, so I said before, Colony 9, the Liberator's base, has some of the exclusive features tied to it. First, you have the community, which comes straight from Torna, the Golden Country, and works almost the same way. Only difference worth mentioning is that it doesn't lock you out of finishing the story, and often you complete an NPC's community entry by talking to them until the dialogue prompt icon gets a little star to indicate the next conversation we completed. Some of the NPCs are city survivors that you rescue around the map, and a few of them will expand what you can do in town, like opening a shop or starting a canteen. Riku is also here, and in addition to his story importance, he has a workshop for upgrading weapons. Upgrading weapons is actually the easiest feature involving material delivery. The materials are very uniform across all weapons. I never had any shortage of blade stones, and the enemy material is always very easy and common to get. I didn't get to upgrade weapons to the max since capping them demands materials from super bosses. It's totally worth doing it though, with gains in damage, critical hit or block rate depending on the character. The quests themselves don't overdo with the material or collectible tracking either. They're more like little stories with or without combat involved at some point. I didn't feel like they overstayed the welcome and had no problem completing every one of them. I loved the exclusive features and how much the game rewards you for exploring. Seeing more and more survivors walking around Colony 9 felt almost as satisfying as rebuilding Colony 6. As much as I enjoyed the class system in the main game, I think I enjoyed having to manage fewer things a lot more. The cast of characters is also great, with future redeems writing trying to continue the main game's legacy of keeping the entire party active in the story. Well, I guess I might be overselling it a little. It does feel like Nicole and Glimmer are vastly overshadowed by the other 4. At least they do remember to push those 2 into the spotlight just enough so they don't forget they're part of this, so hey, still better than how half the cast in Xenogears was treated. It's not all Gucci though. While I had a lot of fun exploring the map and I do like how it's structured, how it addresses the problems I had with Torna's map design, feeling like there was a whole lot to find and investigate outside the critical path and just the amount of verticality, caves and chunks of secret areas and all the familiar structures of past games merged into this side of Ionius, there isn't a lot of biome variety. It makes sense that this is the way it is, but the homogeneity is a little disappointing to say the least, with the one that different biome only coming in the last few hours of the story. Matthew, A, and Glimmer, and especially Rex, are really fun to control in battle. I never liked being a tank much in Xenoblade 3, but Nicole wasn't too bad. Shulk, on the other hand, just didn't feel good to play. I think it's the huge disconnect between how he performs in battle here compared to how he felt in Xenoblade 1 and Future Connected. I get it that they wanted us to understand he was trained by Dumba and basically took the mantle of agility tank. I don't know, maybe I'm just really bad at the endgame of Future Redeemed, but the whole agility tank thing doesn't seem to work well here. And while on the topic of characters and feeling a disconnect, can someone explain to me why is this trope a thing? You know, the one where a fan favorite character shows up in a later chapter of a long series, but something about their personality is very off? Like the original creators were gone, but someone with surface level knowledge handled the writing, or maybe the creator just didn't remember the original character that well? Because that's my problem with Shulk in Future Redeemed in general. He may have been voiced by the same guy, he clearly still has his knowledge for engineering, but since he's all tell but not show about it, you could replace him with a completely new character and the story wouldn't be impacted much. There has to be a name for that trope, because this isn't the first time I see something like this happen. Who knows, maybe they meant to have Dumban all along and in the last minute they decide to replace him with Shulk for fanservice's sake. Last complaint I have is the post-game. This is a problem I had with Torn as well. The highest level non-unique monsters you can fight are almost 40 levels lower than the final super boss. If you're not a really good player, you want to get closer to the level 70 plus super boss's level. But to get there, you need to keep the leveling to farm experience from the strongest encounter you can start over and over. And I just do not have the patience for that with how long each fight against the same unique monster I could farm was taking me. The music is outstanding as always, with a lot of returning tracks and some amazing new ones. The battle theme is great, but it feels like it's trying too hard to be Torna 2.0. That's really the only track I found subpar though. Gotta give chef's kiss to the cinematic tracks, the main theme of the overworld, and especially the track The Divine End. Oh, spoilers! Don't look it up! Don't look it up! Anyway, just a passing mention to the music since it mostly delivers what you expect from Xenoblade 3.
I felt that.
Got a rare one. Score!
Take this from someone who finished Torna feeling very mid about it. Future Redeemed is worth the total price of the whole expansion pass alone. If you have a high level of investment in not only Xenoblade, but Takahashi's past work in either Xenogears or Xenosaga, or heck, even Xenoblade X, you're going to see a lot of references here, and I promise you the final chapter will get your heart beating really fast. If you enjoyed exploring the map in the main game, you're gonna fall in love with the Affinity Goals feature. If you enjoy the combat, well, it's still the same, but more streamlined, so how much you enjoy depends on how much you miss the flexibility of the base game. So who do I recommend Future Redeemed for? What a stupid question. This is a DLC for Xenoblade 3 meant to be played after all the Xenoblade Chronicles games. I can't recommend this to anyone except players who finished them. And yeah, I'm recommending this to you, even if you didn't like the ending of 3. If you didn't like the combat in 3, don't bother. Even on easy mode, getting used to the combat features is always essential in Xenoblade games. I'm not gonna judge you for the uncultured swine you are for not having fun with the combat in the series, but please do yourself a favor and don't be the type of gamer who pays over $30 for a game they don't find fun to play. Just go watch the story on YouTube or watch someone else play. Get this on Nintendo Switch. It's a first-party game, and yes, Monolith Soft is fully owned by Nintendo, so no, you're not gonna see this on PlayStation or Steam. Buy it on Switch. This series deserves to sell more copies. Do it, and maybe your future will also be redeemed.
Right. This may prove worthwhile.
As always, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this review, go check out my other videos or subscribe for more upcoming reviews. What kind of game, if it's retro or modern, only my backlog knows.
Need to fall upon them.
What about something like this?
Here's what I propose. I'll rise to the occasion. fortune favors us. This blade will guide us to victory.